Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Asa McGraw. I'm a holistic fitness coach as well as ortho, pelvic floor physical therapist. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to improve your hip mobility and some stretches and exercises that you are able to do to start to improve your hip mobility today and keep these mobility gains for the long term. Now, do you have tightness through the front of your hips? Maybe it's a little bit pinchy. Every time you go to get up, you feel like this tightness, this pinching, this pulling sensation through the front of your hips. Does your butt hurt when you're sitting? Maybe when you're standing or walking, and maybe you're even noticing it's starting to radiate down the thigh. Is sex uncomfortable? When you go to open up your legs, does it feel like it can't budge or it's really uncomfortable? Maybe even hurts a little bit. Do you pee your pants at all, even if it's just a little bit? Do you have this heaviness or this dragging sensation in your pelvic region? Does your back hurt? When you go to pick something up off of the ground, you bend down, it feels like you're about to throw out your back every single time. And maybe it even kind of radiates down the back of your thighs. All of these are potential signs that you might have limited hip mobility. But hip mobility issues through a holistic lens. And I know what you do. When you have hip mobility problems, you do hip mobility exercises, which is why you are here. But I'm sure you've done these before. I'm sure you've done some hip mobility exercises. And 30 minutes later, an hour later, the day after, the symptoms, they're right back. You go right back to having the symptoms disrupt your life. You have a hard time making it through your day. You can't work. Maybe you don't want to get up throughout your day. Maybe you can't do all the tasks that you have to do throughout your day when dealing with the kids. Maybe you're not progressing in the gym just because your symptoms are holding you back. We're going to discuss how you can improve your hip mobility so that we can keep these gains for the long term, so that your body does not have to keep disrupting your life. Your body should help you in all the things that you're trying to do. I'm here to help you to alleviate your symptoms so that you can go back to being the best version of you. So one of my past clients, she was very active in the gym, but she struggled with this persistent pain through the front of her hips. So she was doing everything that she was supposed to do. She was active in the gym, she was doing her hip mobility exercises, she was moving around throughout the day at work and dealing with her kids at home, but the symptoms just kept coming back. They kept coming back because she didn't address why it was happening in the first place. We need to address why we continuously get these symptoms, not just throw hip mobility exercises at it. Yes, they can help, but they don't address the system as a whole. Now, why do we get these hip mobility issues? This is the hip joint along with your pelvic region and your lower back. When you're experiencing hip mobility issues, you can experience it kind of like in this front region right through here. This is where you can be getting some of that pinching sensation. You could have some of this tightness through the inside of your thigh. So these adductor muscles, and these muscles are tightly connected with your pelvic floor. The butt. You can have pain in your butt. So anywhere in this glute region, there's a lot of muscles through here. And even some of these muscles through the back of your pelvic floor. Also, your hamstrings, you got tight hamstrings. These muscles attach right through here. So all these muscles are connected to each other. So this is the hip joint right here, but you just have all these muscles surrounding it. And you also have things that are going on above, so head, rib cage, core, back region, and things that are going on below, so your foot, your knee. So all these things are functioning together. And why do we have issues with our hip mobility? So it could be due to lack of mobility itself, so we can have tightness in specific muscles. Our joints can't move like they're supposed to, so our joints can be kind of like locked up a little bit so that they can't get in the full range. We lack control and strength, so we might be using some of our more dominant muscles, some of our more dominant patterns, and that can contribute to more tightness. It could also be our activities. So we might be doing too much throughout our day, we might be doing things for too long, we might be doing things with too much load, or we might be not doing enough. So it could be any combination of these things, and it is likely a combination of all of these things. Now, how do you actually improve your hip mobility? We need to address the system as a whole. So yes, we want to address potentially these tight muscles. We want to address these potentially tight joints, but we really need to address the system. First thing that I do when I'm dealing with anybody with hip pain, or dealing with pain for any region for that matter, is address this stack or the position of our spine. Head over a rib cage over a pelvis. So what this does is it gives our body a better resting alignment. So when this part of our body is in a better resting alignment, it allows our hip to move and function as it's supposed to. So head, over our rib cage, over our pelvis. This is deeply tied into our core, which is deeply tied into our breath. So this is why breathing is super important in everything that I do, because this helps us to connect with our foundation and allows our foundation to start to move a little bit better. So we connect with everything above. We also connect with everything below. So our foot connects us to the ground. So if we are not addressing our feet, this is a big component that we are going to miss. When our foot connects with the ground, this sends a wave of motion up our body to allow joints and muscles to function as they are supposed to. So what I find is vital is addressing the position of our spine and addressing how our foot connects with the ground. And what rests right in the middle of these things? Our hip. So when these things are moving better, it allows our hip to function as it's supposed to. So it allows muscles in our hips to let go and lengthen a little bit better. It allows other muscles that might be a little bit weaker to turn on and engage a little bit more. So this restores just a little bit more balance in our body. Our body just needs a little bit more balance. I'm not saying we're going to be perfectly balanced, because that is never going to happen, but we need some semblance of balance in our body. So we restore this stack, we restore this better alignment, we restore how we connect with the ground. And don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do all this in the exercise at the end. And then we start to add these hip mobility exercises. So we need this stack first. We need to connect with the ground first. And then we start to add in hip mobility exercises in various different planes. We need our hip to be able to move in all of these different directions. So it needs to be able to move front, back, outside, inside, and also needs to be able to twist. Our hip needs to be able to flex, extend, move out, move in, rotate. It needs to be able to do all of these things. And it needs to be able to do all of these things in the proper sequence. So when we restore the stack, we restore how we connect with the ground, and then we start to move in various different planes, our hip is able to move better. Now, once our hip is able to move better, we need to be able to load it. This is particularly important for those of us that are a little bit more active, because if we're just restoring how our hip moves and we never actually use it, like we just passively move our hip through these different ranges of motion, it can go right back to how we were doing these things before. So what that means is we can go back to having that limited hip mobility because we never actually use it. You've heard this before, use it or lose it. So we need to get these hip mobility gains, and we need to be able to use this in our daily life and in the gym. So we need to load our hip appropriately. So all the exercise that I'm going to show you, I'm going to start off with the easier ones first. And then I'm going to show you an exercise that looks similar to one that we do in the gym, but it's actually just starting to get you to start to move in all of these planes a little bit better. And then over time, you're able to load it appropriately. And I want to point this out. Don't start off doing something with a very light weight, and then the next day you add 20, 30 pounds. We need to progress these things slowly. Our body needs time to adapt, because if we progress things too quickly, what that's going to do, it's going to cause us to overuse our more dominant muscles, causing us to compensate with these more dominant muscles. And that could just end up causing the tightness and tension in the areas that we already like to use, the areas that are already dominant. And that could contribute to the symptoms that you've been experiencing previously. So progress slowly, work on form, work on your breathing, and then slowly progress over time. All right, so next we're going to be doing 5 exercises to help to improve our hip mobility. So we're going to be talking about this in terms of the stack. So the stack from this upper component, connecting with the ground, and just getting this movement in all different directions. So for the first one, we're going to be on our hands and knees. Hands are going to be on the ground directly underneath our shoulders, and I want this little push forward. When we do this, we get our rib cage to come back, and if you have a big arch in your back, doing this just helps to kind of restore that better aligned position. Head in line with your rib cage, in line with your pelvis. So make sure you're not excessively forward like this. Don't excessively force it at the same time. So just try to get in a comfortable aligned position. Leg is going to be out to the side. You'll feel a little pull through the inner portion of your thigh. We're keeping this push forward. We're keeping this aligned position of our spine. Now when we breathe in, we're going to start to shift our weight back and reach underneath us. So we're threading the needle as we're shifting back, keeping this push forward. Inhale, exhale. What you'll feel is lengthening through here, maybe a little stretch through your butt, but you'll also feel a lot of lengthening or stretching through your middle back because this is a big component of it as well. Next, we're gonna be doing a glute stretch because a lot of us got tight little booties or tight big booties. You could have tight, bigger little booties. All right, so you're taking your knee and you're gonna pull it across your chest towards your opposite shoulder. What you're gonna do right here, and if this feels like it's a little too easy, you can kind of bring this opposite leg to kind of help and pull towards the opposite side of your body. So looks like this or looks like this. All you're gonna do, you're just gonna breathe in this position. So full breath in through your nose. What you're gonna feel is this 360 expansion. So everything is gonna get bigger as you relax and take a breath in. So you'll feel air move into your chest, sides of your rib cage, back, belly, and lengthening through your pelvic floor. Everywhere in this stack region is just getting bigger. So full breath in, exhale. Full breath in, exhale. All right, next one, we're gonna be stretching out this back door region. So a lot of us got tight little booties. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get onto your elbows. You're gonna take one leg, cross it over this leg. And what you're gonna feel is you're gonna feel some stretching all through your booty. You're gonna drop this bottom hip down. And we want this stack again. So head, rib cage, pelvis. And again, we have that little push forward. And just like we were doing in the other exercises, we're just going to breathe. So full breath in through your nose. Exhale. So what you're feeling is you're gonna feel lengthening or letting go through here. There should actually be a little bit of an arch through your back through here. You have this push forward and you're just slowly breathing in this position. So here's where we're gonna start to connect with our feet a little bit more. So feet should be about hip width apart, and I want you to feel your feet on the ground. Base of your big toe, base of your little toe under your heel. I want you to breathe out, and you have this connection with those deep ab muscles. So we wanna hang on to those deep ab muscles as we're doing this. Reach up, and you're gonna go ahead and lift your butt up off of the ground. So the leg that stays on the ground, make sure you keep that base of your big toe, base of your little toe under your heel. You're gonna lift one leg up, come back down. So you'll notice this is a similar position to a hip flexor stretch. But what we're doing right here is we're actually using the muscles that oppose the hip flexor so that we're building a little bit more strength in this range as opposed to taking a muscle all the way to its end range and just holding it there. This is what helps those gains stick. So this last one, it is a staggered stance RDL, but we're gonna be doing it with no resistance. So we'll get into this staggered position. So this leg right here is just gonna be my little kickstand. So make sure it's not too far back. A little kickstand right here. I want you to feel your foot. Base of your big toe, base of your little toe, and your heel. Really feel that foot on the ground. Unlock this knee. So make sure your knee is not excessively straight. Should be a little bit of a bend, and you should feel all of your weight on this leg right here. Breathe out. Slowly breathe out, and you're gonna feel these belly muscles turn on. So right here, stack, we have our foot. What you're gonna do is you're gonna fold through your hips. So you're lengthening, you are stretching your hips As you bend forward, come back up. Bend forward, come back up. Bend forward, load into your hips, come back up. So we're maintaining this stack as we're loading or folding into our hips, feeling that foot on the ground. Come back up. Deadlift, loading, come back down, come back up. So that right there, this is stretching out this back component. This is focusing on you maintaining, holding that stack. This is working on your active mobility. Some other factors that we did not talk about are footwear. So we talked about our feet, but what if you're wearing shoes that cramp up your toes and squish your feet all day long, or shoes that lift up your heels and push all of your weight onto your toes? This sounds like everybody, right? This is typical American footwear, right? What this does, it disrupts how we connect with the ground. This pushes our weight forward. So this disrupts this natural alignment. So as much as you can, start to go barefoot. I mean, if you're just starting off, it's gonna feel a little bit weird, but start to connect with the ground more throughout your day. And if your toes are a little bit crampy already, start to try to put on some toe spacers from time to time, just to start to give your foot a little bit more mobility. When your foot has better mobility and it's able to connect with the ground a little bit more, this is gonna have an effect on your hip. It's gonna have an effect on everything going up the chain. Just like I said with the hip exercises, you wanna start to do this slowly over time. Like, this is something new that your body is likely unaccustomed to. So start to add these things in. Start to add in the toe spacers, going without shoes. Add it in slowly over time. Sleep. How much do you sleep? So we need 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. If we're not getting enough sleep, it's gonna cause more stress on our system. It's not gonna allow us to heal appropriately. More stress on our system, more tightness and tension in our body, tightness in our neck, our back, our hips, pretty much everywhere in our body. And this can contribute to the hip mobility problems. Stress in your life. Again, more tightness, more tension. So try to make sure you're reducing, minimizing, limiting, whatever you're able to do to manage your stress, because that's gonna cause more tightness and tension in your body. Diet. Did you think your diet could affect your hips? It can. So one, we are made up of our nutrition. So we wanna make sure that we're getting enough to fuel our body so that our muscles, our systems are able to function appropriately. So proper amount of protein, make sure you're getting in your fruits and veggies. I say this stuff all the time. But if you're eating something that constantly irritates your belly, maybe it's something that's even considered typically good, or maybe it's something that's not so good. This can contribute to more bloating in your belly. So we have more of this bloating in our belly. And what this does is it pushes us forward. So it pushes us forward, and this could potentially disrupt this alignment as well. And if you're experiencing this constant bloating, this is constantly pushing you forward, and this is constantly disrupting your alignment. This is gonna disrupt how your hips function. So if you are experiencing this constant bloating, maybe it's a good time to see a functional dietitian. Maybe it's time to just track the foods that you're eating to notice, hey, I notice I eat this, and every time I eat this, I feel like I'm a little bit bigger through there. So just notice these patterns. But definitely, if you are experiencing this on a consistent basis, definitely get it checked out. Hopefully this video helped you and you learned something about your body. If you have any questions, please comment below. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend who you think might have hip mobility. A lot of people have limited hip mobility, so share as much as you can. If you're interested in working with me in any capacity, I will link that somewhere in the show notes. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time.